A lot of other teams are having their exit interviews now and trying to plan for the future as obviously the Bengals and Chiefs get ready and the Eagles and Niners get ready. One of those teams right there, of course, are the New York Giants, who had a surprisingly great year and won a playoff game, and have Daniel Jones, who I agree with you, Greg, from yesterday, has emerged as a bottom-rung top 10 quarterback. He's not top 5, but he's certainly in the conversation for top 10, but he also no longer has a contract. So Joe Shane, the relatively brand new general manager, just went through his first NFL season as the Giants GM, spoke about trying to build the team moving forward around their 4-year quarterback. Yeah, that's an amazing turn of events because really coming into this season, he was a lame duck quarterback who was not going to be in anyone's plans for the New York Giants long term because he hadn't really, done anything all that great. And it was a waste of a draft pick because of the rhetoric here in New York. And we got to go out there and get a veteran guy. And we're going to rebuild around a different quarterback, et cetera, et cetera. And then Brian Daboll got his hands on Daniel Jones. And you saw tremendous growth, which normally is year 1 to year 2. In this case, it was year 3 to year 4. And Daniel Jones proved with very little talent around him that he's him. That he could be a guy that could lead a team, not just to the postseason, but to a postseason win. And then you could start letting your mind go a little bit if you surround him with a better right side of your offensive line, with better weapons. The sky's the limit.
Yeah, and when you listen to them say, Daniel Jones, we want to build a team around, they say it with conviction. It's not like question mark. They really believe in this guy, and so do I. And a large part is because of Brian Daboll. When you look at what he was able to do, typically you get a young guy in and you want them to kind of be the guy, and you don't really have a ton of patience. Everybody talks about the patience that you have, but you don't really show it. What Daboll has been able to do is get Daniel Jones to do what the Jets were trying to get done with Zach.
Yes.
Make the easy look easy. Start short and then progress yourself down the field, and everything then opens up and slows down for you as a quarterback. We saw that with Daniel Jones. We know what he can do with his legs. He's phenomenal outside the pocket. He can run. He's very athletic. His Achilles heel was the turnovers.
Right.
He dealt with that this season, all season. He was very consistent with not turning the ball over. I love the progression that I saw out of Daniel Jones, and I'm excited to see what he looks like moving forward with additional pieces around him.
I'm of the understanding that they are very close to an agreement on a contract extension that's going to be in the neighborhood of $20 to $25 million per year, which is appropriate for a guy that you and I at least view as a 8, 9, 10 in that ballpark quarterback in the league. And let's be honest, he's got as many playoff wins as Jalen Hurts has, and while Hurts is better, he's also the quarterback for a much better team, right? If you put Daniel Jones on the Eagles, I'm not suggesting that they're locked to be in the NFC Championship game, but I'd be surprised if they weren't. And if you put Jalen Hurts on the Giants, I think the Giants are in the same exact spot they're in right now, which is on the outside looking in.
Yeah, they're
and that's, by the way, that's not a knock on Jalen Hurts, who has had an MVP caliber year. It's just a lot of times success is determined on your surroundings. And the Philadelphia surroundings for a young quarterback are a lot better than the Giants, starting with their offensive line. They've got the best offensive line in football. It makes a lot of quarterbacks better.
Yeah, it's success is privy on not only just your surroundings, but how well your surroundings are molding to you and how well you are molding to your surroundings. And so what I love about what the Eagles have done with Jalen Hurts, they've supported him. And everybody talks about, it's scheme, it's this. It's supposed to be.
Right.
It's supposed to fit. What Daniel Jones is doing, it's supposed to fit who he is as a quarterback. That's how people thrive. That's how you perform at your optimum level, is in a conducive environment that you're comfortable in and that you can continue to progress in. That's what we've seen with Daniel Jones.
Now, on one side, you've got Daniel Jones, who I think, again, is pretty close to a contract and will be the Giants quarterback for the foreseeable future. To Saquon Barkley, who I believe has played his last game as a New York Giant. Obviously, there'll be some compensation coming their way if he goes anywhere. I know they can franchise him. I know the Giants have $50 million now available under the cap, and the cap number's going to go up, so there'll be even more room. But, sadly for Saquon Barkley, running backs can be found.
Yes.
I'm not saying running backs that have all the intangibles that he brings to the table, and he was about 80% of their offense, and I respect that. But the New York Giants are not going to give Saquon Barkley or any running back 50, 60, 70, 80 million dollars guaranteed because you don't have to.
No, you don't, and neither should you. We've seen it with the Dallas Cowboys and Zeke and kind of what he ended up not being after that contract. For me, it's about your who are you going to lean into, and where do you see Daniel Jones progressing? If you want him to just sit back there and dink and dunk, you keep a guy like Saquon Barkley. If you feel like he has matured and he is progressing to the point where he's starting to look down the field and see more, and you can put more on his plate, then yes. You can't sit on Saquon Barkley when you can get more options for your quarterback and more value up front to protect him and all the things. You got to let Saquon Barkley.
Plus, you have to remember, while they do have 50-some-odd million bucks open under the cap, if you re-sign Saquon and Danny Jones, you're going to take up about $35 million of that 50.
Yeah.
That you're not any better.
No.
The idea is to use that money and go get another linebacker, right? Get a right tackle and get 2 or 3 guys that ultimately make your team better. Hey, that being said, Joe Shane did comment about the future of Saquon Barkley, and you'll notice it's a lot different than what he said about Daniel Jones. That if it works out, he's a good player but a great guy. That is the general manager saying, we really like him, but he's gone. I mean, if you're Saquon Barkley, you have to read the tea leaves on that. Tell your agent, let the other 31 teams know I am available for hire. And somebody will give him money, and he'll do very well financially. But Saquon Barkley has played his last game as a New York Giant, and sadly, despite being, as Dave Gettleman, the former GM, said, touched by the hand of God himself. Hallelujah. Saquon Barkley's got a single playoff win to show for it, and his Giant career is over. Yeah. And that's not a knock on Saquon. That's just the reality.
Yeah, that's the reality. It's not a knock. And when you listen to the comments, it's completely different.
Yeah, night and day.
He starts talking. We like to keep everyone. No, you would not like to keep everyone because your team technically wouldn't be as dramatically improved if you don't improve the roster.
Yeah.
Like you're saying, if we kept everybody gets better, then we'll be a better team. That's not likely. Saquon Barkley is a great player. I believe in the great situation, he will thrive. But in this situation, you hit it. They don't move the needle by saying, oh, yep, we got Saquon
By the way,
back.
you know who should sign Saquon Barkley? And it's a no-brainer, and it puts them right back into the conversation of a Super Bowl contender, the Buffalo Bills. You put Saquon Barkley on the Buffalo Bills. You've now answered a lot of problems they have, inability to run the ball consistently, another outlet, a safe outlet for Josh Allen, and the Bills come right up over the Bengals and right under the Kansas City Chiefs as the second best team on paper. Hey there, thank you so much for watching The Carton Show. You can subscribe right here to get all the latest bits and segments from the show. And by the way, while you're at it, we have a lot of great shows on FS1, so check them out too.